War Sovereign Soaring the Heavens, Chapter 780. Obviously, he was shocked by Duan Lingtian's age. A young man that looked to be around the age of 25 was capable of becoming eminent in the Darkhan dynasty and obtain the qualifications to participate in the martial competition of the 10 dynasties, and he'd even killed that good-for-nothing disciple of the Dongguo clan, so it was truly shocking. Yes. Duan Lingtian replied when facing Feng Wei's question, as he had to admit he was Duan Lingtian now even if he didn't want to. If the numerous burning gazes that shot towards him were transformed into sword lights, they'd probably have left a myriad of holes on his body since long ago. You, follow Patriarch Dongguo. The surprise in Feng Wei's eyes vanished quickly and recovered its calm, and his words were filled with an indisputable tone. Patriarch Dongguo? As expected. Duan Lingtian's face went grim, as it would seem like his guess was correct. That old man that wished for nothing more than to swallow him up when looking at him was really a member of the Dongguo clan, and the old man was even the patriarch of the Dongguo clan. In other words, the old man was the grandfather of the good-for-nothing disciple of the Dongguo clan he'd killed, Dongguo Han. But when faced with Feng Wei's indisputable order, Duan Lingtian seemed as if he hadn't heard it, and he instead glanced indifferently at Feng Wei. Vice Fort Master Feng, if I didn't remember wrongly. Presently, since I'm in your Skywolf Fort, I can be considered to be a guest of Skywolf Fort, right? Feng Wei frowned. What do you want to say? I just want Vice Fort Master Feng to know that I'm a guest of the Skywolf Fort and not a disciple of Skywolf Fort. So you don't have the power to order me around. Duan Lingtian spoke word by word, and his words were neither humble nor arrogant, and yet they were filled with a proud and unyielding nature. Duan Lingtian's words caused everyone from the 10 dynasties to be dumbstruck. Does Duan Lingtian want to die? He dares speak with the Vice Fort Master of Skywolf Fort like this? Those people that hated Duan Lingtian to the extreme burst into joy in their hearts, and they seemed as if they'd already seen the scene of Duan Lingtian being killed under Feng Wei's rage. Presumptuous. The 3 Skywolf Fort disciples had grim expressions, and they denounced Duan Lingtian angrily. A kid from the countryside dares be disrespectful to our Skywolf Fort's Vice Fort Master? You're courting death. As they spoke, the origin energy on their bodies soared, and the phenomenon of the heavens and the earth gradually appeared in the sky above them. 100 ancient horned dragon silhouettes appeared in the sky above each of the 3 Skywolf Fort disciples. Obviously, all 3 of them were 7th level void interpretation stage martial artists. All the members from the 10 dynasties couldn't help but gasp when they saw this scene. The status of these 3 Skywolf Fort disciples seemed to only be the lowest in Skywolf Fort, yet it was exactly existences like this that were actually 7th level void interpretation stage martial artists. At this moment, they deeply realized the resources and reserves of Skywolf Fort, and it caused them to feel shocked from the bottom of their hearts. It was worthy of being the overlord in this border of the foreign lands that was closest to the 10 dynasties. Even if only a few elders left Skywolf Fort, they would probably be sufficient to annihilate any dynasty. If a Vice Fort Master personally made a move, then annihilating the 10 dynasties by himself would probably only require the slightest effort. Whoosh! 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 3 figures seemed as if they discussed it earlier and arrived to stand by Duan Lingtian's side in a short moment. Feng Wu Dao, Feng Tianwu, Zhang Xiaoyang. Even though Duan Lingtian's heart was greatly touched when he saw these 3 people, he still couldn't help but persuade Uncle Feng, Tianwu, and Big Brother Zhang. This matter isn't related to all of you should leave. He would share wealth and fortune with them, but he wouldn't share misfortune with them. Big Brother Duan, don't forget that it wasn't only you that was in conflict with that good-for-nothing disciple of the Dongguo clan that day. Feng Tianwu spoke seriously. Exactly. Since we got into trouble together, then we'll bear it together. Zhang Xiaoyang had a candid expression and spoke fearlessly. So you three were his accomplices that day. Dongguo Lei's gaze flashed past Feng Wudao's group of three, and his killing intent was frightful. Subsequently, he looked at Feng Wei who was beside him as he suppressed the rage in his heart and said humbly, Vice Fort Master Feng, if it's possible, I want to take them with me as well. Feng Wei didn't look at Dongguo Lei and said indifferently, you can only take one person with you, as this was our agreement earlier. As for the other three people, so long as they aren't in my Skywolf Fort, then whatever you do in the future is naturally unrelated to my Skywolf Fort. Feng Wei's words were extremely clear. You, Dongguo Lei, can only take Duan Lingtian with you and leave today, as that's me returning a favor to you. As for the other three people, so long as they're in Skywolf Fort, then you can't touch them. But once they leave Skywolf Fort, the Skywolf Fort won't interfere no matter what you do. Dongguo Lei's eyes lit up when he heard this. Thank you for your guidance, Vice Fort Master Feng. Duan Lingtian, Vice Fort Master Feng ordered you to leave with me, yet you aren't leaving? Could it be that you really want to disobey Vice Fort Master Feng's order? Dongguo Lei revealed a cold gaze as he stared at Duan Lingtian and asked in a low voice. Old goat, is something wrong with your ears? Duan Lingtian sneered. I've already said it earlier. I'm not a disciple of the Skywolf Fort and don't have to obey the order of a Skywolf Fort's Vice Fort Master like him. Of course, if a Vice Fort Master like him wants to push out a guest the Skywolf Fort invited over all the way from the Darkhan dynasty, I don't have any objections. But at that time, I'm afraid people will say that for the sake of his own selfish desires, the Vice Fort Master of Skywolf Fort disregarded the reputation of Skywolf Fort and wanted to force to death a guest invited over by Skywolf Fort. Duan Lingtian emphasized the word guest. What a way with words. Feng Wei's calm expression finally changes as a wisp of imperceptible cold light flashed within his eyes. Kid, you're courting death. When they saw Duan Lingtian still dared be presumptuous before the Vice Fort Master of Skywolf Fort, the three Skywolf Fort disciples were instantly greatly enraged, and they pounced at Duan Lingtian in unison. Duan Lingtian was utterly unable to fight back when facing the attack of three 7th level void interpretation stage experts. Humph. Right at this moment, Feng Wudao made a move. With a raise of his hand, his sleeve swept out as his origin energy skyrocketed, and he directly blasted flying the three Skywolf Fort disciples that had struck out with all their might. Whoosh! In the sky above Feng Wudao, 600 lifelike ancient horned dragon silhouettes condensed into form and coiled down. 4th level of the void transformation stage. Instantly, everyone from the 10 dynasties, including the Darkhan dynasty, were greatly shocked. Feng Wudao is actually a 4th level void transformation stage expert. The expression of Bai Nanyin, Zi Shang's master, went grim. The pupils of the Darkhan dynasty's emperor couldn't help but constrict as he muttered. I truly never imagined that he concealed his strength so deeply. In this way, Grand Imperial Uncle that hasn't been heard from until today is extremely likely to have died at his hands. At this moment, the second Prince Bai He, the young Prince Bai Hao, Zi Shang, and the other young geniuses of the Darkhan dynasty revealed shocked expressions. Never had they imagined that the strength of the Feng clan's eldest master, Feng Wudao, would be so strong. 4th level of the void transformation stage. Such a strength was sufficient to look down upon the entire Darkhan dynasty. No. Even if it was to look down upon all the 10 dynasties, it would probably not be a problem. This was something that could be completely seen from the disbelief that covered the faces of all the members of the other 9 dynasties. Even though I'd heard of the Darkhan dynasty's Fen Wudiao in the past, yet I never imagined that he would be such a terrifying expert. The experts of the various dynasties side? Such an expert has actually appeared in the Darkhan dynasty. The young geniuses of the various dynasties were greatly shocked as well. 4th level of the void transformation stage? Needless to say, as a member of the 10 dynasties, your natural talent is sufficient to allow you to be arrogant. But, you attacked the disciples of my Skywolf Fort in my Skywolf Fort. Do you take me to be non-existent? Fen Wei looked coldly at Fen Wudiao as he spoke. In the next moment, no one saw clearly what had happened before Fen Wudiao was blasted flying as the origin energy on his body almost died out, causing his aura to droop, and he was on the verge of collapse. Pu. After Fen Wudiao spat out a mouthful of blood, he looked at Fen Wei with a gaze filled with fear. An expert at the 7th level of the void transformation stage is strong indeed. Your ability of insight isn't bad. I only gave you a small punishment earlier. If you dare commit an offense once more, I'll surely cripple your cultivation. Fen Wei spoke indifferently, and as his words showed that he entirely didn't take Fen Wudiao seriously. So what if Fen Wudiao was at the 4th level of the void transformation stage? Fen Wudiao was still no different than an ant before him. Fen Tianwu's beautiful face instantly went grim, and she stared angrily at Fen Wei when she saw her father was injured heavily. But she hadn't spoken when she was stopped by Fen Wudiao, who was in panic, as he was deeply afraid his daughter would vent her anger on Fen Wei. If Fen Wei struck with a killing blow, then even 10 of him wouldn't be able to protect his daughter. Uncle Fen. Duan Lingtian looked at Fen Wudiao with a worried expression, and with a raise of his hand, he directly withdrew a medicinal pill and placed it in Fen Wudiao's hand. This is... Fen Wudiao was stunned when he saw the medicinal pill before him. Grade 3 life recovery pill, said Duan Lingtian. Fen Wudiao's eyes lit up, and he hurriedly consumed the grade 3 life recovery pill. After a short moment, his injuries recovered by more than half, and his ghastly pale countenance had recovered slight rossiness. Grade 3 life recovery pill? For a time, many people from the 10 dynasties looked at Duan Lingtian with surprise. Even if it was in the 10 dynasties, a grade 3 life recovery pill could be considered to be a rare thing. Duan Lingtian refused to comment when facing these surprised gazes. It was because he wasn't prepared, otherwise, he was even able to refine a grade 2 life recovery pill. Wait. Grade 2 life recovery pill. Right at this moment, a flash of inspiration arose in Duan Lingtian's mind, and he thought of a way to escape this predicament. The way was to expose his identity as a grade 2 alchemist and make the Skywolf Fort's vice fort master be unwilling to lay a hand on him. Perhaps there were grade 3 alchemists in Skywolf Fort, but it was absolutely impossible for there to be grade 2 alchemists in Skywolf Fort. This was something that wasn't difficult for Duan Lingtian to know via the 2 lifetimes of memories of the rebirth martial emperor. The Skywolf Fort was only a power that was situated at the border of the foreign lands, and it was utterly nothing in the entire foreign lands. Any one of the first-rate powers in the central area of the foreign lands only had to send out a martial monarch stage expert, and they would be able to easily annihilate the Skywolf Fort. A martial monarch stage expert was a legend in the 10 dynasties, yet it was a rumor in the borders of the foreign lands, and at the central area of the foreign lands, it really existed instead. So long as it was at least a first-rate power of the foreign lands, then there would be many martial monarch stage experts present. I hope you enjoy the video. Don't forget like, share, subscribe to channels.